arms, making him look like a cheap action figure. Gage is, well, just a guy with guns. Strongarm rips off the doors of the truck, revealing Deadlock and Starbright, and I have to say, they actually have semi-decent outfits, albeit Deadlock seems to have an inexplicable ponytail coming out of the back of his mask that's suffering from Dilbert's tie syndrome by defying gravity. Of course, this brings up the question of why the heck these two are even still in costumes if they were in custody. Starbright asks if there's any sign of Youngblood, to which Deadlock replies, "Ah, the mere mention of that name boils my blood." "Oh no, my blood! Help me, my friends! I'm vaguely Russian and my blood is boiling!" Starbright tells him to keep it in check. Keep what in check? And that their plan depends on it. Gage gasps and calls out, 4 o'clock! 4 o'clock! They're here! They're here! They're here! Everybody hide so we can yell surprise! 3 arrows hit the ground. Okay, Shaft can kill a guy standing 100 feet away with a pen using his free hand, but he can't hit a couple of guys with a bow and arrow? Okay, admittedly his bow doesn't have any string, as indicated by the cover in a page that's coming up, but still. And here's the moment you've all been waiting for, folks. Die Hard flies down and smacks Strongarm in the face with his crotch. I'm sure this wasn't what was supposed to be conveyed, but that's what we get, what with the bulging lines, the blood trail, and Die Hard body's foreshortening. Die Hard Cock proclaims, "This makes us even." And suddenly I understand fully what he did with his freedom the last time. And I also realize why they don't want any eyes if they're seeing stuff like that. Die Hard-On punches Strongarm, this time with his fist, while shouting, "I've been waiting for this day, and this time you won't be as lucky." I don't think any of us want to be that lucky. And finally, we cut to a 2-page spread of the other members of Youngblood rushing out at the fore. Oh, and check out the cops in the lower left corner who have oversized legs and arms that for some reason are extended out away from them like stiff boards. Perhaps they're imitating what one of Liefeld's men would look like if they had muscles like that in real life. Whew, that issue lasted forever, didn't it? Well, at least it's over and... oh. I forgot. Yes, folks, in a rather bizarre bit of page construction, what we saw on the cover was actually the home team of Youngblood. And now, we have to flip the comic over and read it from the start so we can get another exciting tale. Yippee! Okay, in theory, this is a neat idea. 2 teams that alternate whenever there are missions on the home front or missions that take you away from the immediate area. The problem is that this can also be a radically stupid idea. In the hands of a good writer, having a huge team on a book can be great. Like the current JSA run, there are 25 team members, and single issues can spotlight individual heroes, or they can get some nice character moments and fight scenes, since we know how unique each one is. But Youngblood gives us 12 characters, but not all in the same story. Half the book is for one group, and half is for the other. It's a terrible idea to put both stories in the same book. It's possible to have 2 different teams with similar names running at the same time. But with Youngblood, the 2 teams mean that the missions are going to be really short and, again, little time for characterization. Backup features work because they're short supplements, a small story with a large story. But these are both of equal size, and we didn't get any resolution on the home team of Youngblood. The story just stopped. It's especially bad to do this for a first issue. First issues are supposed to get the reader acclimated to these characters and their situations, give us some idea of what their deal is and why we should like them. But this book just has the characters thrust into one action situation to the next without any real chance for substance. Are the Youngblood a government organization? Are they the world's only superhero? Just tell us! Anyway, with all that in mind, let's dig into Youngblood number 1. Again. The cover on the back is a little better off than the home teams, with a bit more uniqueness to the characters and even some symbols for them. The colors don't seem as blended. Inside, we have yet another cardboard profile box, this one for the home team's leader, Shaft. Apparently, he's an experienced FBI agent who was chosen to replace an unseen character named Battlestone as leader of Youngblood. Say, Rob, why not have an origin story for your entirely new universe and characters, eh? No? Fine. It says that his weapon of choice is a specially crafted bow and arrow, which makes me think it must be special if it doesn't have a string. We begin with 6 television screens displaying a news report. I'm reluctant to call it talking heads, though, since every time a person is on the screen, they look like they're sleeping. Yes, not only do they have their eyes tightly shut, but their mouths are clamped firmly down, even though there are both speech bubbles and caption boxes that indicate that people should be talking. The speech bubble for the news announcer doesn't even have an arrow connecting it to him. For all we know, they're just putting Bob Squarebody there on the screen while he took some NyQuil and someone else is trying to make it look like they're actually talking. Superhero books can be great inspirations. Like right now, this is inspiring me to sleep too. Apparently the situation as they describe it is how a radical leader of a terrorist group named Saddam Hussein, that's Hassan Hussein, who is also sleeping by the way, has taken control of several Israeli territories. The president is sending in a specialized task force to deal with it. We switch to a live feed from a reporter on the field, and despite the fact that his mouth is actually open, this reporter's eyes are also just as shut as the others, indicating he must be unconscious too. Let's focus on one of these Youngblood dorks. Combat. Look at this guy, a giant tuning fork on his head, and a helmet that I'm sure in no way is meant to resemble Magneto's from the X-Men. And he's also got this huge pink gun that was probably supposed to look badass, but instead makes him look like he's wielding a giant frosting dispenser. To make matters worse, while the other members of Youngblood are leaping down from helicopters in relatively the same direction, Pinky the gold salad fork here is dropping down, facing the wrong way, plus scrunching his body as if he were sitting on a toilet. Physics! On the next page, Combat's gun is like 3 times smaller than it was in the previous one. Continuity? What's that? He announces shocked that there were more than what the briefing said there would be. Cougar, who is of course not like Wolverine at all, responds thusly. Got more toy soldiers to play with. War's just a game to you? Yup, otherwise this wouldn't be fun, Coog. I gotta admit, this gets me pumped! And suddenly we're in a Jane Fonda video. Well, that actually would explain why all of these losers are so muscle-bound. The de facto team leader, Sentinel, who is obviously not Iron Man, explains that this is only the first wave and that it's revealed that Combat wasn't paying attention during the briefing. Oh, and his gun is turned into another size, this time about 2/3 of the original size. Let's see. He doesn't pay attention to briefings, he has a size-changing gun, he's got to be uncomfortable to be within an elevator due to his size, and he treats war like a game. The next generation of heroes, ladies and gentlemen! Seriously, who the hell would find this compelling? Dude, I got like 3 copies of Youngblood #1, man! And like 4 copies of Youngblood #0! That's like a #1 issue! Only it's a 0! That means it's like 0 times cooler! Wait. We catch up with the other members of the away team. Sci-Fire just kind of floats on the air alongside Riptide, who is herself riding on a wave of water. He cleverly quips, I should have bought this land. I've always wanted beachfront property, babe. Riptide, echoing the sentiments of every human being on the planet, responds, Shut up, Sci-Fire! Following along is the other team strongman, Brahma, and he, Oh my god! Get away from his mouth! It's a black hole! He complains, These soldiers are worse than flies. You get a lot of flies in your HQ, or are you actually a cow? They close in on their target, a small building without much security, to help secure Saddam, or Hassan's location. The group leaps in close to the building, only to be stopped by an energy field. Sci-Fire is fine, however, and he creepily exclaims that he could take out Hassan from the States. The energy field doesn't affect him, and he looks up at the camera, stating actually quite frighteningly with his lack of eyes that he wanted to do this personally. Just give me a second to figure out where you actually are. Meanwhile, Combat and Cougar have suddenly engaged with other high-tech robots and, you know what? I don't care about any of this, so let's skip to the end. We cut back to Sci-Fire and Hussein, who's pleading for his life. To make Sci-Fire even more unpleasant, he proclaims, I actually admire what you've done here in this backwards country. It's just that mine pays me more. The next generation of heroes! Sci-Fire gives a little psychic attack to Hussein's brain, and much to the surprise of every reader of the book, we get a close-up shot of Hussein's eye. Wow, it actually exists! But Hussein holds his head in pain while Sci-Fire says that he does this kind of stuff for free. Then why was he talking about how he's paid better in the USA? Allowing Hussein's head to blow up off-panel. Charming. Combat and Cougar enter, saying with rather mild annoyance, He did it again! The other members of Youngblood wake up and also express their eye-rolling disappointment over the fact that he killed him. Brahma just stares at the body as if Gary Coleman had slapped him in the face, while Riptide sums it up with an irritated, Oh, way to go! Brilliant! With about the same amount of enthusiasm as you would when you forgot to put gas in the car. Iron Man, or Sentinel, says it's time to leave and they should call the cleanup crew. And our comic ends with a shot of US Today saying that Hussein's terror ended in suicide. The newsprint says that he apparently unpinned a grenade in his mouth and that a suicide note was found nearby. Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen, they're murderers, liars, and they support other killers. Isn't it just the stuff of legends? This comic sucks. The art is bad, the writing is bad, it's just bad all around.
Bad rock stars drinking stage. Road star purple heroin. Chapel gives people AIDS. God's right. Oh, we, oh, we, oh, we, oh. God's right. Oh, we, oh, we, oh, we, oh. God's right. Oh.
Bowstring? Cha! Who needs a bowstring anyway? Those are for losers who are not hardcore enough. Don't even think about having heroic logos on your chest or anything. What we want is shoulder pads. Huge shoulder pads, man! Those are so much more boss than a stupid symbol. Hey, I'm 90s Kid, and what you see is what you get.